Good evening. Welcome to this month's meeting of the Athens Recreation Advisory Board. It is Thursday, April 18th. It's 5:34, and it looks like we've got a quorum. So should we start?
Yeah.
All right. First thing is the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look it over? Are we good with? Okay, my only question was, Kat, would you want community insights before you do your, or do you care?
Yeah, mine as well, because sometimes whenever I have updates, they're somewhat connected.
Connected?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move the community insights bit up to new business, just to, in case that overlaps with what you're gonna share with us, but otherwise, approved?
Approved. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, great.
We're efficient.
Okay, well, moving on to the disposition of minutes. Daniel got back to me. He is working on getting us February, so we'll move February to May.
Okay.
But Stuart did provide us with the March minutes. Thank you, Stuart. Any addendums, changes to what was sent out?
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the March?
A motion to approve the March minutes.
Second.
Oh, okay. Moving right along. Wow, we are efficient.
Pros.
Okay, so the community insights and feedback, we'll start with those under new business, both of which were ads from my end of social media interaction. So we'll start with the West State Street Dog Park. There's a new West State Street Dog Park Facebook group.
Oh,
So the old one's kind of defunct and there is a new one.
I didn't know there was one to begin with.
Yes, there was an old one and now there's a new one that I believe was expressly started by Shelley from,
Oh, yeah.
Friendly Paws.
thank you, Friendly Paws. And several of the first posts were concerns about the status of the park and its upkeep as we move into summer. And so I commented on a post and said, hey, what would you like to share? And so the first was, the original post was asking if anyone knew how to build bat boxes, because apparently mosquitoes are a big issue in that park.
Yeah.
And not just for the folks bringing their dogs, but apparently mosquitoes are a heartworm transfer for animals. So, my husband does make bat boxes, but I'm not going to volunteer him to without asking.
Yeah.
But just thinking about if that's something that could help naturally curb the mosquito population at that park.
Yeah, and there's bats there,
Yes.
so yeah, we could encourage them around the dog park area.
Yeah, to stay. And so whether we can get some bat boxes built this season or we can reach out. I know that like Eagle Scout projects
Yeah, I
have
was gonna
happened
say scouts are typically looking for
in the
something.
past, and so very like intentionally being like this is. The other issue that came up was the mud, which I feel like has been kind of a hallmark of that dog park for a while, but just ways to make it less of a mud pit, especially after it rains. And then there were questions about where the benches had gone, which
Are the benches not there?
according to I haven't been down this month, and I honestly can't remember if they're, so apparently their benches are gone.
Okay, we'll see if
all the
they've been.
benches?
I think there were 2 that we purchased last year and put in there. Okay, PSA, benches are very expensive. Please don't move our benches.
Maybe benches could
But
also be a
maybe it's in
scout
a different,
project to make more benches, but apparently they're gone, so.
Oh, okay. We will, I'm wondering if it's somewhere.
We don't know.
No, we don't do that.
What would they say about a new?
But I'm wondering if they were moved,
I miss them.
hopefully, to somewhere else in the park that we can
Just move them
move
back.
them back.
Okay. So those,
We will start there
Okay.
and see if we can.
This is a fun mystery, okay?
yeah,
I
so mosquitoes, mud, where
Okay.
did the benches go? Where the,
Okay.
the
I don't know where the benches are.
Well, I'm glad I could
That's
let
sad.
you, yeah.
Okay.
let you know
Hopefully they're
they
in the
were
park.
there.
I won't get sad yet.
We will go on a field trip and discover.
Yeah.
Like
Hiding-
seriously.
Yeah, hiding somewhere.
Okay.
So those were the three
Okay.
issues about the dog
Yeah.
park that came to me. And the other was about the West State Street ball field accessibility. Now, one of the issues was something that we maybe could help to alleviate, which was, again, mud. So folks who have wheelchairs getting from the parking spots to the ball fields when the trains kind of messed up like that. So, so that was the one that I think is kind of within our control. And the other was that, again, this was from Facebook posts, folks who are parking in the blue hash marked sections of when there isn't, enough spaces. So you're not supposed to park in the
Right.
hash out blue sections, so ramps and lifts and stuff can come out of accessible vans. Apparently it's happened multiple times that someone has,
Okay.
which, again, without someone there constantly monitoring, it's not necessarily something that we can control, but it's at least something that we could officially post to say a reminder, these aren't spots, these are for accessibility issues.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and at least from this particular commenter, and with pictures, has happened multiple times where they just haven't even been able to attend the event. They've just had to, or have had to, it's been difficult, right? Pull out. and
Right,
then-
yeah, there's a reason why there's space
Right.
dedicated with an accessible parking spot. Okay,
So those were
Yeah.
just those were the two
yeah.
Facebook bits that came to my. And did anyone else have things along that line? I know I asked for agenda items kind of early in the week because of travel, but does anyone have any other community insights or things they'd want to add?
Well, I didn't have any.
All right.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go on then to continuing business, the first of which is the collaborative meeting in May with the Municipal Arts Council. Kelly got back with me and said May 8th at 5:30 is great. And we just needed on us to pick a location.
Oh, I already reserved the community center.
Oh,
And I
great.
realized that I emailed Kelly to let her know, but I didn't email you.
Okay, perfect.
But probably because I knew I was gonna see you and
That's fine. So we will be
Roomy.
at the which,
room B, it's not the big room
okay,
and not the one with the kitchen, the one in between.
just right.
Yeah.
All right. So, and Kelly said that she would work with me to add agenda items, since we'll be combining the two meetings, so there will be certain things that they have to touch on for their meeting. Like usual, I'll reach out to everybody the week or so before to see if there's anything that needs to go on the agenda from our end. But
And that's
basically.
Wednesday, May 8th.
Yes, Wednesday, May 8th. And kind of dovetailing into the next bit of continuing business, if I hear back about new board members, we might also be welcoming some new folks to join us that week as well. So that's still kind of up in the air.
And we're waiting to hear from Mayor Patterson.
That's correct. I've got 2 emails out
Okay.
asking for just at least an update, and haven't heard back on either one. So have you, Kat, heard at all? Okay,
I'll check in with them.
thank you.
I've seen 2 of the 3 people, and they were both excited to know if they were.
Yes, yeah, there, two of the 3 possible nominees have reached out via email to ask, so I'm assuming that's indicative of
Yeah.
enthusiasm. And then I've seen the third person I've just seen out and about
Yeah.
and asked,
Yeah.
what's the state? So I'm confident that if we get the official confirmation that the 3 people that we recommended are going to say yes, and that we'll be able to have, we won't have a failed search. We'll have 3 people to fill those seats, and possibly at the May 8th meeting. Does anyone have, at least right now, a conflict since we are changing?
No, this
That-
is a good date.
Yeah, it's a good thing for me as well,
Good
to move our meeting up a week.
Right offhand, I'm not sure, but
That's, yeah, sure, that's fine. Okay, so that's basically all we had continuing, were just those two things. So
Nice.
let's go to that. I'll turn over to Kat.
Oh, right. It's already my turn. My
Yeah.
goodness. All right. I'll jump to project updates since I've already, we're just keeping the anniversaries coming up as I'm just keeping them there. But we're waiting on the weather to improve for concrete, pouring out our new tennis courts, which will be a sidewalk, a path from the parking lot area so that people can get to the tennis courts easier and better. And then the same sort of with pickleball courts, we're still on the fencing side of things, but we do have everything in place now. It's just kind of waiting to get them scheduled and ready to install the fence at the pickleball courts outside. And at West State Street Park, we're still working through a protective net plan for the soccer fields that we have officially, and then now it's pickup, but we've been working through trying to help have more soccer space on the driving range with OU and OU in order to approve a lease with us. They require a protective netting, so we have a design in place. We're still trying to figure out how to get the project done, and I did have a call in last week, but then I spoke to them this week with a group through Sourcewell, and they do protective netting installation, because we've also reached out to Claypool Electric. We don't even know what, really, once we have the design, what kind of budget are we looking at? What equipment do you need to put in 80-foot tall poles and install 70-foot high nets? So we're working through this. Yeah, I see your face yeah. We're getting closer to at least having a good idea of what it's going to take to get the protective netting up.
Great.
And then, does anybody have questions about that? Okay. And then I'm kind of typically kind of rush through that one because I haven't had a lot of, leaps and bounds, but I did make a leap this week. The riparian project, that's sort of ongoing. We were supposed to have the pollinator habitat planted last month, but something happened with, we have to borrow equipment from the Athens Soil and Water District, and so now we're still waiting to plant it. So it's there, it will happen. We have the seed. I put it on there that we received the $20,000 Ohio Parks and Recreation Association Foundation grant to support our Richland Avenue playground. I know, and I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm whenever I shared that. They're like, yay, we're all cheerleaders here. So, and then that delivery, so the equipment has been ordered, and its tentative delivery date is August 12th.
And that's not obviously installation date as
Correct.
well, right?
That's, receive. But the way that these companies tend to work is that once there really is, from the manufacturer or wherever, whoever's holding the equipment says, we're going to ship on this date, then they try to schedule out, or they do schedule out their installation team. And so that's typically a few weeks.
Okay.
But we have discovered that we can store a lot of things, so we will figure this out if we have to store it for just a little bit. We're still working on an early June install date for the outdoor fitness court. The weather has made it a little pushed back the pour dates for concrete, but we're still within our window of an early June installation. But we'll see. The concrete has to cure for a month before they can come and install on it. So.
And this is what's going down by the new fire station?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, and then the community center, we're working on giving it a little bit of a facelift. I received a quote today. I'd worked through my needs last week over the phone, and then they were trying to figure out one piece that you had to call and get information from the manufacturer and all that fun stuff for lockers. So I received the quote this afternoon for the lockers in the main fitness area. So once I get the PO in place, I'll order those, and then hopefully we'll have new lockers in that area at least in the next couple of months, which will be really nice because those lockers have been loved. and they are ready to retire.
Those are the ones facing the gym.
Yeah. The locker room lockers also need replaced, but that is another year because it's like $9,000 for these just to replace those. So yeah, so we spread it out. We are working on our annual fitness equipment replacement. I think Aaron was able to place an order, so now we just kind of wait. And we were gonna replace the weight room floor, but our iPads and AV equipment in the multi-purpose rooms has just died. I don't know how else to say it. We've been trying to nurse it along for a while. So now we're gonna pause on the weight room floor and replace that equipment. So, because we do rent a lot and people expect, that they can use these things, they can make presentations, and they just haven't been able to. So we're gonna do that.
Kat, can I interrupt?
Yes.
Or Catherine, do you ever go to the university surplus and see if they have anything?
No, I'm aware of it, but no. I haven't
And I don't
recently.
know this for sure, so,
Yeah.
but my understanding is sometimes, when they go to replace equipment and so forth, there is, used equipment that might be available.
Yeah,
At a much discounted price,
thank you.
for what that's worth.
We like loved things, as long as they work. And then we did get new carpet upstairs in the community center, which is awesome. And we're working with our RVC architects. They're coming up with a design because if you've been upstairs, there's offices, but we're adding a full-time person, and so she doesn't have an office. But we also normally have like part-time staff up there, kind of tucked away, and then we have storage bins and old, reused, and loved cubbies. So they've created I've been working on creating a design where we have an actual, an additional enclosed office space and then some better storage in that area. So that's been nice. Well, that would be a next year project too, but we had to get the design and everything first, so. Whew. But it's exciting to see so many good things happening in the community. All right, so the pool is fully staffed.
Yes.
We were very fortunate. We had a lot of returning staff, and we also had a lot of people who were very eager to work at the pool. And I've unfortunately had to start turning people away, which is something that I could have never imagined happening. But I'm really proud of the work that we've done over the past 2 seasons to really push training and a positive culture. And we've, we try to be flexible with staff's vacation because they're high school students and college students and they have lives. So we tend to hire a lot of people and.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you continue to hire throughout the summer or have like a wait list, like you said, if people were.
Yeah, there's been the people who've reached out to me, I've noted, if we do have something, a need in the future in the summer, then, because we do have some people fall off before the start date, and that's just kind of part of the process, so I build in a buffer for that. And then we tend to have people fall off after, mid-July, and that's like school starts and they're moving, or that's whenever their family vacations are, and all those combinations of things. So, because people typically want to move into a job that, will be almost year-round. So sometimes their start dates, because we've had people too who take another job and then they have to quit our job because that's what they're going to be able to do during the school year.
Sure.
So there's always fluctuation, so I build in a buffer there. And then I don't know if anybody had any thoughts after I had briefly mentioned this last time about like a toddler-friendly time or in the leisure pool before open swim. I don't know. Anybody had any more thoughts about it? Nope. Great. Awesome.
I like the idea. Anything that happens, anything that opens before noon for young kids is like, whether that's the splash pad being open. I know sometimes it's for free, sometimes it's through the pool. But yeah, stuff that starts early with
Yeah.
little kids is nice.
Yeah.
Would the toddler friendly time, would it be like on the punch card, or it would be?
I don't know. I haven't really. I
Okay.
mean, we've just kind of had this idea because we saw like other pools doing something like that, and we were like, oh, I wonder if there's a way that we could do that. I mean, I think the idea would that it would be either like your membership, like that it wouldn't be
Right.
a different cost because you don't have to leave at noon.
Sure.
Would be the thing. It's just that maybe the opportunity to have a less crowded and less intense
Right.
pool experience, especially in the leisure pool.
And it seems like a lot of little kids, like toddlers and infants, do use that like during the break time when they
Yeah.
can go in.
Yeah.
And so to have.
Yeah, but I don't know what the age cutoff would be either, because then they're siblings, so then we run into all of those things. So we might try it out, and it might be imperfect, but we'll see.
Sure.
All right, and we do have some hiccups that are happening at the pool. It's like unplanned, but we plan for the unplanned, so we're okay. But there's a lot of paint and concrete issues with the lap pool specifically that we weren't really expecting to deal with before we opened. So we're just gonna spot paint and come up with a better plan in the fall. Spot paint to get it filled and try to protect the concrete somewhat, seal it away, and then knowing that we'll have to come up with something in the fall to address some cracks that are happening and some weakening of the concrete in some areas. So I don't know what that will look like.
Is that weather caused, or what is that?
So there's a lot of issues that it's unknown since we don't have a time machine. But from different people I've talked to about just concrete and concrete pours in general, if the concrete wasn't allowed to cure long enough before it was painted after it was poured the first, at the initial building of the pool, then that causes issues with the kind of like the top surface, like integrity issues. So it's always moisture was sealed in, and then that starts breaking down, and it's because when some of the paint that comes off has concrete layer on it. And then another issue that is a potential is the mixture of the concrete was too wet, or the way it was troweled, it wasn't troweled enough, because that also gets moisture out of it. Again, concrete science is not my thing, but I've talked to a lot of people about this. The paint itself has never been on thick enough, which I can 100% get behind that idea, just from seeing it each season and having it professionally painted, and then get the same result as we unprofessionally paint it. In one season, they're still so like, okay, so maybe there needs to be like 5 layers of paint. I don't know. And so what that does is whenever it wears out and a little bit of concrete is exposed, then the water is always seeking calcium. And so that's one of the reasons why paint deteriorates really fast, because the water is trying to get calcium, and then it will get it from the concrete once the concrete is exposed. And then that over time causes crumbling and messes with the integrity. So there's a lot of, it could be this and or this and or this and or this. And so now it's kind of like, okay, well, here's what we have. And so how do we fix that? So the leisure pool is doing a little bit better, and the top pool, but the lap is definitely taking the brunt of it for whatever reason. And we add calcium hardness into the water, because that's a part of it. Is if you keep your water balanced, then your water is not seeking calcium so much. And so that's definitely a very active thing that we do each season, because we soften our water, so we take the calcium out through the chlorination process. So that's awesome. And then whenever it gets in the water, we have to harden it back up. So it's quite a lot of science, and it's a battle.
No, I think people take for granted that a pool is just a bowl full of water that you can swim in, and don't realize like the hard work and the science that goes behind making sure that it's there for us to use.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm glad that's on your radar and that you're you're working.
Oh, I could bore you to death about water and pool functioning. I'm definitely an expert at this pool. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of the long of what's happening. And then there's corrosion that's happening. So one of the pumps, the whole thing's corroded and the threads were gone. But we have a really great team of facility folks and the water treatment plant folks, and they got together today and they came up with a solution. So now we don't have to get a new pump. So all kinds of fun things are always happening.
Great.
All right, I could spend more time talking about the pool if you want me to, but those are the big things that are happening. We're working through schedules and trainings and what swim lessons will look like. I know people are excited about swim lessons. Yes, we're going to have swim lessons this year, but we haven't posted them yet. I've built out the schedule, but just trying to make sure that it makes sense. And then today we had volunteers from Athens High School, and they're led by OU students. It's this service learning day. They helped, they did a lot today at the pool, which was awesome. Brought all the chairs out, cleaned them, waxed the slides, or the trough parts of the slides, waxed part of things on the splash pad, cleaned up the deck, brought the lifeguard chairs out, cleaned out some of the rooms. They were really, really helpful, so that was awesome. All right, so since our last meeting, we had our Easter egg hunt, and that was really well attended. It was our second year doing it after many years hiatus, and you know, we implemented some changes this year. Again, we have some ideas to kind of improve the candy getting experience next year. And then we had the Ohio National Guard Black Sheep Boot Camp that they hosted at our community center. It was awesome. I think we all would have liked to have seen more people, and that's okay. I had a great time with my family, but we'll start inviting them to community events because they really want to engage with this community. So then hopefully people get more used to seeing them, and then whenever they have an event, people will know, like, oh, this is what's happening.
I did not realize from the initial, and maybe that was also me just not paying attention, that there were like inflatable things. I thought it was all going to be like grown up fitness kind of things. And then when I saw the pictures, I thought to myself, well, my younger kids do not want to do push-ups, but they would have loved to go bounce in the thing. So whether that was, again, just me not getting what the vibe was going to be, but I would love to see more inflatable.
Yeah, that was super fun.
They looked very fun.
Yeah, I think part of that was and those are things that we learned collaborating together of, you know, how to communicate to the public about what this is. So lessons will be learned and implemented. Lessons from that will be either way. All right, our program specialist for child programming education. I meant to try to reach her this week to see if it was okay if I said her name, but I did not. So I don't want to spill the beans if she hasn't spilled the beans with friends and other family yet. So either way, the mystery continues. Who is it?
But she is
you will find
hired
out.
and is
Yeah, she'll start May 28th. She's a teacher, so she would have liked to stay throughout the end of her semester, which is very understandable. So that means Nicole, she made the official switch this week to pool management. So she's been learning the ropes with me, and Erin has taken over the childcare and camp planning until we get our new program specialist in.
Would we maybe like to invite her to the May 8th? I know that's kind of be a lot having on the agenda for May 8th, but
Invite who?
the new program.
Oh, yeah, I'll see.
See if she wants to come.
See if she wants to. I didn't want to assume.
Again, I know it's the joint meeting and there's a lot then on the perhaps on the agenda.
Would it make sense to invite your staff in general, and then the new members, assuming that they'll be at the May 8th meeting, could get to know everybody? I don't know. I know it's outside of normal work
Yeah,
hours,
I know, and that's the thing that I always try to manage, and I'm trying to think of.
No pressure.
I don't think May, just because thinking of the overwork schedule that we're each going to be experiencing. But I think probably during the die down. It's just harder to flex time right now. So if you don't flex it, then you just end up working like 60 hours a week. And that's
No.
not that fun.
But I do
But I
that's-
think that's a great idea to have everybody, meet everybody, have like a meet and greet at some point. Okay. Whew. All right. So we have our regular programming happening at the community center in Arts West, our fitness programs, music programs, dance programs. We've got youth and adult soccer are happening, though the Walmart fields are definitely getting their fair share of flooding this season. It wasn't this bad last spring, but it's definitely more water this spring. Adam's working on planning our concert in the parks, and we typically start in May, but he thinks that we should go June through September, so we're gonna go that, because those are typically nicer months anyways. Because May is kind of early in the summer still, or late spring. And then movies in the parks, I think Aaron pushed out a vote to see if people wanted to put any input on what movies we were going to show in the parks. So hopefully we get some good engagement there. I don't have an update from Nicole about the Copperheads collaboration other than I know they'll, and I'm sure we'll be working with them with Swim with the Snakes.
I think they want to sponsor a movie too if you need a sponsor.
Yes, they do. I have heard that. Yep, I've heard Aaron talk about that. And I think at Arts West, we're wrapping up several weeks of back-to-back performances. So I know Adam's definitely feeling ready for the school semester to end. So he can
Is
get
there
a
summer
breather.
programming at Arts West?
Right now, there's not. He has some ideas. We tried the spring studio or the open studios, and we just weren't getting any traction. Some of that, I'm sure, is just trying to get the word out and help people understand what it is, because he was wanting to do something like that in the summer as well. But yeah, I don't have a specific update about what we're going to be offering this summer.
One more thing with the Copperheads, I think they want to do a natural playground. Does that sound?
Yes.
So yeah. So they're still interested in making that happen.
Okay, great. I saw an email from Sadie earlier this week, but I have not
You're good.
responded to it.
You are good.
This is the time where I feel like I should put just an automatic response, like, you typically hear from me within 24 to 48 hours. Expect it now to be 2 weeks. Up to 2 weeks.
You're good.
It will happen. And then at our park, so our graduate student, I'm going to her defense tomorrow, but we had a graduate student from OU, and she's worked on her professional project for her master's at Camp Rotan, and she's really done a lot of amazing work there. And one of the things that I'm still waiting on is all the material that she gave me to put in the kiosk. We're getting that printed, but I have all of these cool maps, cool history, awesome leave no trace principles. She redid the nature trail that existed there from former scouts, and she gave all kinds of evidence-based rationale for why she's doing it the way she did, but basically, and it's rooted in ecology and recreational ecology, and basically the forest changes over time, and so those nature trail touch points needed to be updated anyways, and so she's created one, and now the trail is going to be on the map of Camp Rotan is going to be on All Trails, so if you use All Trails app to figure out what trails you want to go to when you visit a community, she's trying to get it into Map Athens, so anyway, and she's also provided a very detailed camping plan, so, and how could we do this sustainably, and she's given us like baseline factors so we can measure over time if we, when we get the camping program up and running, if we see some areas that, are getting too much wear and tear versus not. So she's done a lot, and I'm super excited about that. So Camp Rotan, we're still working on it, and the storm damage repairs that are needed to the cabin will hopefully begin in May. And then at West State Street Park, we have a lot of ball field use right now. We have Sandlot and OU, and if I'm missing someone, probably, but I know Aaron is like trying to figure out how to fit everybody in. Those are the two big park updates. We're still hiring for our parks seasonal staff and our camp staff. So if anybody's interested, you have to be 18 or over. And I don't really have any updates on any upcoming projects other than they exist as upcoming. Woo!
Out
All
of
right,
curiosity,
yes.
how, I think in our last meeting, you were getting ready to meet with Sandlot
Mm-hmm.
about the potential building of the, how
Yeah.
did that?
Oh yeah, I mean they really want to be involved, and so I think from the city side, it's how do we do it in a way that follows like code and regulations, and making sure that we're, because there are ways to work with nonprofit organizations, but then since it's our money, just making sure that it is done the correct way. But yeah, I mean they want to. They think that they, and I have no doubt, can get reduced materials or even like free donated materials for building. They definitely have a lot of people, because I mean they serve like 500 to 700 kids, so that's a lot of different families. So they have a lot of ideas. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of figuring out how to make it happen. Everybody wants to. And then what are our things and what are our boundaries that we have to adhere to since we're a city?
Well, it sounds like you are going into the busiest of busy seasons. But a lot of
Yeah.
exciting stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to announcements / other business, one of which we've already touched on, that we'll have our May 8th meeting in the Community Center Room B. Will still be recorded, or that one won't.
No, we might have the ability now to do that. I will have to talk to the government channel folks to see. That's it. Yeah.
So TBD, but we will be meeting with the Municipal Arts
Yeah.
Council on Wednesday, May 8th, in a joint session to kind of catch up with what they're doing and let them know what's going on our end, and hopefully, possibly having some new members as well join us, which would be really great. The only other announcement that I wanted to throw in is that I for sure will not be here in June. And in chatting with Annie, it sounds like we'll also not be here in June.
Be out June and July.
So thinking ahead to if we don't have our new members, do we maybe want to collectively say June is vacation? Or just because at least as it stands right now, it would just be Ann and Stuart who are here in June. Which is fine. You all can come hang out, and
Yeah.
if you want, or we could.
We could, you know what AMAC did, is they had, in lieu of one of their meetings in December, they had not a meeting, but a sort of like formalized, we are going to go to the Poet Laureate's poetry reading somewhere, and that's what they did for AMAC. So third Thursday in June,
We could go
it's going
look
to
for
be
the
the
benches
concert.
at the park.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say the concert in the park. I hope we find the benches.
I will be in
Well, yeah,
Tennessee. I
so
can go
that
to
you
a
don't-
park. I can go to
But we could say, like,
a park in
RAB
solidarity.
is going to be at the concert in the parks, and not a meeting, but you know.
Well, we can. I mean, if we don't want to like come down,
Well, it wouldn't be a
definitively
meeting
this month.
anyways because there wouldn't be enough people to make it a meeting. But
we
Yeah.
can revisit that in May. But I just wanted to kind of throw that on everyone's calendar that Annie and I will both be gone
Okay.
in June. I'm so excited. You have the best reason to be gone.
I know.
We'll see. No idea what's
Yeah.
coming.
Are there any other?
Why are you laughing?
Fair.
No reason.
Sucker.
None of us know.
Other announcements from anyone else?
No, we're good.
We're good.
Is there anything that this council can do for you, like in the sense of?
That's a great question.
I mean, right now we do need, and this is kind of ties into that we don't have an updated master plan. I also don't really know the best way to guide us all in that. And I know we've had meetings to try to plan. So I think there's just got to be a different way here, because it's hard for all of us. And then, but one of the things that I posed to my staff at our last staff meeting was, we're not going to do it right now because we're all coming up on the busiest season, but we really need to take a good look at what we're offering and what other places that are within 30 miles, 30 miles might be too much, 20 miles, what are they offering? Like, so that we can figure out if we're duplicating things, that, and then try to figure out, is that really beneficial to us? Is it sustainable for us, financially sustainable? And then are there things that, so it's like a performance gap analysis. So then are there things that aren't being offered within this community that we could do, that we're not doing, that we could do? Because the community is really changing, especially with, you know, OVMOD opening up too, and then I know that there's more camps that are popping up, which those are typically like half days as well. But there's more things for kids to do, and we focus a lot on kids as well. And just wanting to make sure that we're doing like a temperature check of how the community's changed, and are there things that we could change, that how we're doing it, that help us continue to be financially viable and sustainable in the future, and that we're not just doing things that other places are doing, because we don't need to do that unless it's adding to the need. Like, there is a huge need that's not being met, but if that need is being met in some area, then okay.
Catherine Ann, that's a perfect project for a student. Right? Like if somebody needs practicum or internship credit this summer, and then they could even work at your camp and that's how they get paid, whatever. But that could be a perfect project for a rec student, right?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah,
No?
I mean, it's one of those where it just depends on like the level of knowledge, and then the level of supervision and oversight that we need to provide in order to like guide someone.
Make sure it's, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we did have students in a rec class in the fall, and they did performance gap analyses on different facilities. And so that was helpful, and I think that's a good starting spot, like taking that and going. But I think from, you know, the Recreation Advisory Board perspective, I think it would be useful if at some point, if we do have 7 or an ad hoc committee to help us make sure that we're not missing something, that we're not forgetting about some organization, because you know, it's some of the things pop up and I'm like, I didn't even know.
Right.
Like, I didn't know Hocking College did a camp. And cool. But there's so much that each of us, individually, we don't have all the knowledge, but collectively. And I think that that's something that we really do need to focus in on, because I don't know when the world is going to stop being more expensive. But just assuming it's not, we really do need to come up with a nice, strong, this is our trajectory, and this is how we're going to change, and this is how we're going to get stronger and
And that would also be part of the master plan then, right? Is
Right,
kind of
yeah.
assessing what's out there and what we can.
Yeah, I mean, and that really you can build your strategic plan off of that and your master plan off of that. So like maybe that is what is needed at this point. So I told folks, my staff, that we'll start talking more about that and looking more into it once the summer's over, once the pool closes.
Yeah.
Then we can, which I know is busier for other people, but at least I can be more of a leader and guide in that than I can right now. So.
And that might be something to bring up during the joint AMAC meeting, is that while you're extra busy and the rest of us are sort of on summer break, passive info gathering.
Yeah.
Just in conversation, even just what do you wish we had, or what do you see as a redundancy or something?
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Any other announcements?
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, does anyone want to motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Well, we're adjourned.
Woohoo.
Thanks, everybody.
Go team.